Greetings and welcome to this short demonstration of CSI 2130 Communication Setup. In this particular video, I'm starting on what's called the home screen, which is a screen that first comes up when you start up the data collector. Okay. Now, if you were running a route the last time the data collector came up, then it's probably going to come up in route mode. So let me start, let me just go to route mode. You'd see a point that might look like this. I'm going to show you 3 points here. This is a point there where the data has not been measured yet. There's no numbers anywhere on this page. I've got another point where I collected data, and here you can see now I've got a very large number telling me the overall value of the vibration data. I've got an indicator telling me the status is okay. And then I've got a lot of information on how the data collector broke down the data that we just took. Now all of this data gets collected automatically with one key press. Every time you press the enter button, it collects this entire set of data. I've got one other data point in here that I just want to bring up briefly, and in this case I've got all that same information, but this time somewhere the vibration level was a little bit too big and it triggered an alarm. Now it turns out that this is a very mild alarm. It's a rate of change type of alarm, so it's a very early warning type signal that something's starting to change and might be a problem, in this case within the next year, if it keeps increasing at the current rate. So it's a very powerful tool. The 2130 gets a lot of data very rapidly and assesses it, but it's really the predictive specialist that takes a look at it to figures out whether or not these alarms are in fact something that we need to be worried about in the Praxair system. Okay, well, if you're looking and seeing one of those 3 screens, and you want to get to the home screen, the simplest way to do that is to simply hit the home key or the home button down at the bottom of the page, and sure enough that brings you to the screen we started on, the communication with the F5 communication setup on it. Now before I actually go into communication setup, I want to go one more place, and that's to talk about the 2 methods of communication that we use between the CSI 2130 and the Praxair server that it's trying to connect to either load routes or to dump data. Now the 2 methods that we use are USB, and in that case we connect a USB cable from the 2130 back to a laptop computer, and from or a desktop computer, and that desktop computer is somehow or another connected to the Praxair LAN. Now that could be a direct connection. It could plug into the wall and get connected, or it could be through a VPN. Many people will take their data collector, take data at a remote site, and then when they want to dump the data, they're doing it from a hotel room or from a remote location where you don't actually have a Praxair LAN to plug into, but you can VPN into the network, and as long as you can VPN, your computer is essentially in the Praxair network. So we would use a USB cable to do that, and inside the computer we need to have a service running. It's called CSI Data Transfer Service. It's invisible, it runs in the background, but when you plug your CSI data collector into your computer and you're connected to the Praxair network, it will automatically connect your computer or your CSI 2130 to the host server, and then you can control the process of loading routes and dumping data by pressing buttons on the 2130. The other way of connecting is through the Ethernet cable, and that is also very straightforward. You just simply take the Ethernet cable, plug it into the bottom of your CSI 2130, connect the other end into a Ethernet wall jack inside the Praxair network, or a vibration switch somewhere inside the vibration network, and as soon as you do that, the CSI 20 and your host server are connected, and you're ready to load routes and dump data. Here I've got a little bit of a closer view of the the connectors or the ports at the bottom of the unit. You can see the Ethernet connector here, and you can see the USB cable port right here. Okay, so we know there's two modes now. The F5 key functionally allows us to shift back and forth between those modes. Now here I press the F5 key, and you can see the first command that you're faced with is deciding whether or not you want to be a USB port, or if I press F1 you can also connect to serial port or Ethernet. Now we only use USB and Ethernet, so if I wanted to go to Ethernet I would simply hit the F8 key, cursor down to Ethernet, and when I'm there then I'm going to press the Enter key, and now I'm in Ethernet mode, and this is the standard Ethernet mode. If I wanted to switch back, it's just the reverse process. I would hit F1, go back up to USB. Okay, I'm going to stay on Ethernet mode as long as I'm there, because I've got to show you something on how to use this, and that is, this is the standard setup that we get when we receive the data collector from CSI. And DHCP, which is a dynamic host protocol, is enabled. That's good. But down here in the host name, they just put a generic name, host computer. And what has to happen is we've got to put the name of the computer that you're trying to connect to into this location. And so I'm going to show you how to do that in this video. So we want to change the host name, so we're going to set host info. We do that by pressing F6, and the next key, F4, allows us to set the host name. So if I press that, you can see I've now got the ability to edit the host name. On the screen that's in front of me, I've got all the available characters that I need, and I've got a backspace key. So by pressing the F12 key several times, and every time I press it you can hear you see the letter disappear, and you can hear the little beep as I press, I can eliminate host computer. And now what I'm going to do is type in the name of a server, a Praxair server. Now I'm going to pick the longest and hardest one we've got, and that happens to be the name of the European server. ESP MAD. So ESP it's in Spain. MAD is for Madrid. Vibe for vibration. MAC for machine 0. Dot. And this is pretty much standard IT protocol. It's .country.continent.praxair.com. Alright, so that's what we're going to enter in down here, and I'll start off very slowly. First I got to get an E in there, and you can see an E is the second letter. So I come over to the F2 and I press twice, and that puts an E in for me. And the next letter I want to get is an S, so you can see that's an F8 one time. I press it. The P is this F7 one time. Okay, so ESP, and then I got MAD. So F5, M, F1 is A, F2 is the D. Over here, F9 is my V. Now to get the I in, I've got to press the F3 three times. 1, 2, 3. And to get the B in, it's twice on the F1. Okay, Vibe MAC, so the M is F5, F1, and then 3 times on F1. The 0 is 4 times on F11. 1, 2, 3, 4. Alright, so we've got the first part of the name in. Now a period is the F11 key one time. Okay, and now we're going to put ESP in. So E is 2 there, and we've done the S, it's a F8 one time. The P is F7, another period, and now we'll go for EU, so it's F2. And over here, F8, U, another period. And Praxair.com, so F7, F7 again, F1, looks like F9, back to F1, down to F3, and to F7, another dot, F11, and then F1, F5, and finally F5 one more time. So I've entered the name. I want to lock it into memory, so I hit the enter key. And now where it used to say host computer, it now says ESP.MAC0.ESP.EU. Okay, so that all matches. And to see the end of it, the easiest way is just to hit the F4 key again. EU.praxair.com. praxair.com. It looks very good. I'll make that go away. And I'm just going to hit the enter key to... Oops, lost my picture. Sorry about that. I just want to hit the enter key. And that brings up the this screen here. And again, I just want to hit the enter key one more time, and that will bring me back to the communication setup screen. So we've now got ourselves all set up with the host name the way we wanted it. Now, one last step in setting up the Ethernet mode, and that is I'd like to test it. And CSI has very conveniently put a function in here called ping by name. Ping is a very standard IT protocol. It's been around basically since computers started networking, and one computer will send a quick code, 32 bytes, to another computer and basically say, hey, are you there? And then it times the amount of the lapse in time until it gets a response. That ping command, typically there's 4 of them that are issued one after the other, and that's exactly what is built into the CSI 2130 to get it to work. We just hit the F12 key to ping by name. We put the name in, the host name, so we're going to ping by name. And it does give us a chance to edit that string. We do not want to do that. We're ready to go ahead and ping. So we would come up here and press the enter key, and you see it's pinging that server. And sure enough, we were able to ping it and get a successful response. So I'm just going to come down here and cursor my screen. You can see my screen can slide over. I'm going to cursor my screen over a little bit. You can see that the ping was actually 32 bytes long, and the response time from my test setup at the PTC to the server in Madrid, Spain, is 128 milliseconds on each leg, on each response. That's very, very good. We've got good connectivity with our server, so I'm satisfied with that. To get this information screen off, I just have to hit the enter key. So press that one time, and now this data collector is all set up to communicate using the Ethernet mode. To end this session, I would simply hit the enter key, which will bring me right back to the home page where we started. And now if I went out to F5 and pressed it, we would come up in Ethernet mode. Again, recalling if we hit F1, that's our ability to change between USB mode and Internet mode. If I changed it to USB mode and hit the enter key, back to the home screen, now this data collector is set up to collect in USB mode. So whatever your preferred method of communication is, you get it set up properly and keep it in that mode, and you're in good shape. So I'm going to go ahead and hit the enter key one more time, get back on my home screen, and thank you for watching this video. I hope it helps you with your data collection and with keeping your CSI 2130 connecting properly. Thanks a lot. Go out and have a great day.